Dillon, how do you find balance in your life?
I have yet to find any balance in my life. So if that's if you're expecting some wisdom there, I got nothing.
Some deep answer. He's like, I got nothing.
No, my goal is to find balance, but I wouldn't say I have it yet.
You don't have it yet?
No. I mean, for a lot of people, work organizes their life, right? And as an actor, you don't really know when you're going to be working, and you go long periods of time without working. So finding exactly that balance of what to do in those long stretches of time is one of the biggest challenges as an actor, or else you go crazy. And you get into, sorry, I shouldn't have said crazy, now I feel bad.
Honestly, let me just let you know from now, on this show, you could say whatever you want.
I can say that? Okay.
You could say crazy, cuckoo, la-la. You could say all of that stuff, because a bipolar person's running the show, so I'm giving you carte blanche on all the words.
Okay.
Okay?
So, yeah, I mean, right now my big thing is I try to work out every day. That's one thing. So that's like at least try to accomplish one thing every day. I got a dog, so that takes some time. And I'm right now in a place where I'm trying to find that thing that I really want to do when I'm not working. You know, so I've yet to find that.
Okay,
family helps.
Family definitely helps. My family's missing today. She knows where she is.
I'm a little sad she's not here. I was looking forward to bugging her about the online dating stuff that you guys were talking about.
Don't worry, I'll let her know.
Okay.
I got that dish. Got that. I got that dish. 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 I got that dish. I got that dish. That dish.
Hey y'all, it's Onika sans Bianca today. Sorry guys, she couldn't make it. But we have a special guest on the show for the Bell Let's Talk Day. It's the 29th of January. It is Bell Let's Talk. Before we get into our conversation with Mr. Dillon Casey, who I will introduce in one moment, I want to let you guys know on Bell Let's Talk Day, for every text, mobile, or long distance call made on the Bell Network, tweets using hashtag Bell Let's Talk, social media videos, Snapchat filters, Bell will contribute 5 cents more to the Canadian mental health programming around Canada. So guys, if you're out there right now and you're listening, tweet, text, call, Snap, Insta, all of that good stuff, and make sure you hashtag Bell Let's Talk, and 5 cents will be donated. This is a very important cause. It's been going for 10 years now strong. It's made over $10 million for the foundation, and we're having a conversation today like we do for our usual all kinds. We have a thing called All Kinds of Crazy Wednesdays, but this one's airing 2 Wednesdays before, but we just tell the
So this is just some kinds of crazy?
This is just some kinds of crazy, not all kinds of crazy. This is just the sum. Okay, we'll do the all kinds on the following 2 Wednesdays from now, but
it's a lot of ground to cover, though. That's a long podcast.
Yeah, it's a long podcast, all kinds of crazy. But introducing Dillon Casey. How you doing today, Dillon?
I'm good. Excuse me. I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. How's your day been?
Pretty good. Yeah.
Did you go to the gym?
I did go to the gym.
How was your workout?
Today was an intense one.
What'd you do?
Yeah.
Was it leg day? Was it like leg ab day?
No, I did.
Like, I don't know the days because I don't work out.
I was
That's
on.
not my thing.
Well, that's one thing, you know, not to go dark, but like that's one thing an addiction can do for you is you just transfer it to something else, and now it's the gym.
I wish it was the gym for me. It's not. It's food. It's food.
Well, yeah, so I probably work out way too hard lately, but I did, it was like I biked for half an hour, then I did this kettlebell circuit. That's just way too intense.
Kettlebell.
I'm the guy at the gym that everybody looks at like, what is wrong with that guy?
What's this guy doing?
Yeah, why is he sweating so hard? People make fun of me for sweating at the gym. I'm like, it's a gym.
It's a gym. You're
like,
supposed to
you
sweat.
don't have to sweat that much.
Not
buddy.
that much.
No.
No, but you're supposed to sweat. I made a SMART goal today at work that I was going to start exercising for 30 minutes a day, 5 days a week, starting tomorrow. I doubt that's going to happen.
That's a big. Shouldn't these? I heard these goals should just be like one thing. Like I'm just going to go tomorrow.
No, it's like SMART stands for specific, measurable, attainable, what is it? Specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and timely.
I have heard of that because there's something called smart recovery. Mm-hmm. Okay. Mm-hmm. So go on.
Yeah, so I set that goal for myself, and I'm going to give myself a month. But I also get exercise classes offered through my workplace, so I'm going to start taking those as well, because my fat ass has to do something to get in shape before Caravana next year. I'm playing mass, and the before and after picture is going to be sick. Like, it's going to be twisted. I'm so excited.
I think you look great. I don't think you.
Thank you. Appreciate you. But we're here to talk about you and
That's
your
unfortunate.
Have you, Dylan? I know you know this because I know your age. Do you remember the Wonder Years?
Yeah.
Oh, everybody I referenced this to never remembers the Wonder Years.
Who
Fred
doesn't-
Savage, Winnie.
Yeah.
Like, who doesn't remember the Wonder Years? Like,
What was his buddy's name again? The nerdy guy who everybody thought became Marilyn Manson?
I can't remember his name. I just remember Fred Savage. He was a secondary character, so I didn't think about him. But I remember Winnie. So how we usually start, I'll ask people, like, what were the Wonder Years like? Like, what were your years of Yorn like? Like, your younger years?
My childhood?
Your childhood. Wonder Years.
Can you swear on this show?
Absolutely.
Okay. So I come from a pretty big family. I have an older brother, younger brother, youngest sister. We're like a crazy Irish family. We're just shit disturbers. So when we were... What would be the younger years, like the Wonder Years, like when we were like 13?
Yeah, like before high school, like the years before high school, because we're going to touch on high school too.
Yeah, I mean, they were. I mean, it was interesting. I went to a private school growing up, so up until like grade 8, I was at a private school, and by the time I hit grade 8, I was like the king of that school. I was student council president. I was the lead in the play, which was like cool for that school. Not cool in other schools to be in theater, not so much, but at that school it was. And I was good in the play too. I remember I played the genie, and I brought the house down.
You bought the house down.
Yeah.
I can imagine. I can picture it. Were you painted blue?
I spray painted my hair blue.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Okay.
It was still the best performance I've ever done in my life.
Really?
Yeah. So I was the king of that school. Then suddenly I transferred to a public school for grade 9, and I was a total loser. Oh. Right away, no friends. I had one other friend that came with me from that school, and we were buddies. And my brother was a bit older than me, 2 years older than me, and he was like heavily in the mix of like trying to be cool, or he was cool, and he didn't want anything to do with me, so he didn't like have my back, or like a lot of people come into high school and they're cool because of their older brothers. My brother was cool, but he wouldn't allow me to have any of that.
That coolness. He wouldn't let it rub off on you.
No, and the unfortunate thing was I took some of that cockiness from grade 8 into grade 9, and people were having none of it. So it's like when you make that transfer, it's like going into a prison yard as the new guy, and everybody just, and if you're cocky, they just you become a target. Yeah. So I never really felt like I fit in that well in high school. I think I was a bit of a controversial figure. You either loved me or hated me.
Yeah.
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 It was a turbulent time. I got through it as fast as I could. It was a 5-year. There was grade 13 at that time.
I went through grade 13.
Yeah, so
we're the same age. So.
Yeah. Oh, we are. Okay.
Yeah. I just turned 37 in December.
Okay. Well, happy birthday. Happy belated.
Thank you.
So yeah, I fast tracked and got out of there as fast as I could. But it was. I mean, what do we do? We just kind of drank on the weekends. Way too much. A lot of binge drinking. A
lot of binge. I didn't drink in high school.
You didn't?
I didn't drink till I was in university.
Okay.
And then it was a shit show. Like, I was always the girl to have to apologize the next day for some dumb shit she did the day before. Like, I cut shoelaces, I cut hair, banged on doors, almost attacked a woman like 3 times my size.
Well, for like 3 out of 4 of those things, you shouldn't have to apologize. That just sounds funny.
It was funny. My girlfriends used to play the song, the Sarah McLachlan's, or the Sheryl Crow song. Oh my God, I woke up with a snake tattoo. Oh my God, and I think that my tongue's pierced too. So they play that up and down the hallways, like as I went to the Sunday morning after. And baby, who the hell are you? Like that was me.
Okay.
That was literally my life every weekend of university. Like
that sounds like a good time at university.
It was a good time.
Yeah, it was similar for me.
Similar?
Yeah, we had just a big group of friends. A lot of drinking. It was sort of like go hard on the weekends and then work your ass off during the week. Mm-hmm. School really, speaking of balance, I was very balanced in school.
You were very balanced.
Yeah, I knew how to do school.
I'm a school girl. I
Yeah.
like school.
I mean, I loved it and I hated it. But I just loved the fact that like
It had structure.
It was like, this is what you have to get done by this time, and here are the requirements. It's like I can do that. I was always very good at that. And then becoming an actor was the stupidest thing I could have done.
Oh no!
When you're good at that and then you want to be an actor, they're just so polar opposites.
What was your favorite subject in school?
In university, strangely enough, it was economics.
Where did you go?
I went to McGill.
Okay, I went to Carleton.
You went to Carleton?
Went
Okay.
to CU. Yeah.
Nice. I took environmental science. And in environmental science, there's this, environmentalists hate economics. And there's always this word that was popping up, we can't do this because of economics. And I just thought it was getting a bad rap. I'm like, I got to figure out what that is. Because there's got to be something more to it.
Than what they're saying.
Yeah, so I just I took a few economics classes, and the way that they talked, I guess I'm a bit of a cynical person, and economics is they call it the dismal science.
I don't even know what economics is, I'll be honest with you. I have no idea. Like, it's like marketing. I
That's
don't know
the thing.
what that means. I don't know what that is. Like,
That's the thing. And especially if you're in an environmentalist class or environmental class, you just think it's money and greed and capitalism. It's not. It's the study of how people make decisions. And when there's a scarce resource, it's just this is how people make decisions.
Okay.
So there's microeconomics, how individuals make decisions, and macroeconomics, how like a whole market makes decisions.
Okay.
So I just found that very interesting, and it's true. I mean, a lot of the environment, not to go on a big tangent, but a lot of the environmental policies that we want won't work unless you take economics into account. You can't just say, that's greed and money. You have to actually consider it. So I actually really like that subject. And I mean, when I was in like high school, I always, for some reason, I think I was attracted to science, but I think it was mostly just because my dad was a doctor, and I thought that he would like me to be into that kind of stuff.
That.
Yeah. But how about you? What was your favorite subject?
History, and I studied history in school.
Nice.
I love knowing, where we have been to know where we are going. It doesn't make me very big into politics, really.
It doesn't make you?
It doesn't make me big into politics because I feel like it's just a cycle. Like, we just repeat ourselves over and over and over and over and over again. Like, great, nations and great empires are formed and they fall and someone else takes over, and it's just the way the world has always worked. And I feel like if a lot of the, politicians out there were forced to take a history class about some of the nations that they deal with, they would deal with them a lot differently because they don't know their culture, they don't know their history, but they're quick to go in there and manifest destiny all over that shit without knowing really what the fuck is going on.
Very reactive,
very
sort of
reactive.
like whatever's happening now.
Yeah, so I would prefer if they would, just learn about the history of these different cultures before they went in there and destroyed everything. So history was my favorite. History was definitely my favorite subject. I did a 4-year degree at Carleton in history. I read history books just for fun. Just for fun, or anything that has to do with like biographies or anything like that. So,
have you read Guns, Germs, and Steel?
No.
That's the one that is supposed to be a really good history book, history lesson.
Guns, let me write that down after Guns, Germs, and Steel. I want to read that.
I haven't read it. I tried to read it, and I just wasn't focused.
Are you a reader?
I go through phases. Right now, no. I'm so addicted to my phone right now. It's ridiculous.
Well, it happens. Phones are phones.
I made the mistake of downloading a game.
I downloaded TikTok the other day. Like, it was the worst decision I've ever made.
It's the worst thing you can do to yourself.
It's the worst. Mentally, physically, emotionally, and spiritually. It's like the number one worst thing you can do to yourself. Like, TikTok is evil. I don't want them to be my sponsor, so I can say that on my podcast. It's like just straight up evil. But yeah, so you're going through school, everything's fine. Then when do you decide I'm going to be an actor? Like, when do you go from economics to acting?
I don't think I've decided yet.
You don't think you've decided yet? That's not your grown-up job yet?
Acting? A grown-up job? Well, I was, no, I mean, it's always something that was like inside of me that I wanted to do. I did, like I said, I did the plays in grade school. I did a couple plays in high school. I was in first year McGill. I remember I did a BSc, so I remember sitting in a calculus class just going, what the fuck am I doing here? I don't want to learn this shit. This is so boring. And I'm like, I want to be an actor. I want to be a movie star. So I just kind of impulsively went and applied to Dysh, which is the NYU school, which is like where Robert De Niro went.
Okay.
And I said, I'm going to go to Dysh. And I knew nothing about how to get into a theater school because I didn't really do anything official growing up. I didn't do any like official theater. It was just school plays. Yeah. So they said they needed 3 letters of recommendation. And, you know, for Canadian schools, you don't need to get letters of recommendation. No. You just apply. And you go through. Yeah, so I went and got letters of recommendation from my high school chemistry teacher, my high school algebra teacher, and then the drama teacher or the woman who directed the play. And I remember going to my algebra teacher, and he's like, why do you want a letter from me? This is a theater school. You want to go to a theater school? I'm like, I don't know. I did well in your class, so just tell them I'm smart. Yeah. And he's like, okay. So I applied to Dysh, and then I got called in to do an audition for them in New York City. Wow. Which is just a process you have to go through. And my audition was a week after 9/11. Ooh. Yeah. So I got on a plane from Montreal, and I flew to New York City a week after 9/11 and did this audition, and I thought I absolutely nailed it, but I don't think I did. Everybody was there with their...
Why do you think that?
Well, I just thought I just felt good. I felt confident, but I didn't really know anything about acting. I just did what I did in the plays, you know, big and funny and goofy and all that crap. I just remember everybody was there it was like all these 16-year-olds there with their parents, and it was just me sitting there alone, and like, where are your parents? I'm like, I came here alone. And the guy who did who I did the interview with, he's like, you came here on your own a week after 9/11? I said, yeah. And he goes, wow, that's ballsy. And him saying that made me think, I'm going to get in. I thought, they're looking for ballsy people. Acting is ballsiness. For sure. And I didn't get in. So I just decided, I kind of had not a panic attack. I just didn't know you had to pick your major the next year at school. So I didn't want to do biology or chemistry or any of that stuff. It just all seemed so boring. And my dad helped me pick out, went to the back of the program book, and environmental science was this new thing. And I thought, okay, it's new and different. Let's try that. And I really enjoyed it because it was very interdisciplinary. I could do economics and I could do other stuff. And then after I finished university, I still didn't know what I wanted to do, so I did more school. I did a master's in economics. Okay. But and that was at U of T.
Look at you.
And it's more just not knowing what to do than anything.
Every time I go to school, I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah, exactly. It was just like, I don't want to get a job yet, so let's do that.
School.
Yeah, and I like school, so let's do more school. So I did. I was at U of T, and I got an agent over the summer. And he was like a real agent. I'd had other agents like just go to commercial auditions and stuff like that. This guy was like a real theatrical agent. He really talked himself up. So I knew he was real. While I was going to school, I was going to auditions. And at the very end of my time at school, I got a part on the CBC show called MVP, which was this hockey show. Which basically just wanted me to take my shirt off, and I was going to the gym every day, so I fit the part. And I played a rookie hockey player. And essentially,
I'm sorry, that sounds so funny.
99% of the role was just me. I had to take my shirt off in the audition, and then like every episode, they were just finding excuses for me to take my shirt off. And I was so green, my eye. You can see if you ever watch the show, my eyes are like deer in the headlights the whole time, and it works because the guy's a rookie deer in the headlights. So I was just walking around terrified with my shirt off.
Oh my gosh.
And I did that. That was a pilot, and I thought, okay, I'm going to give this a shot because I still don't know what I would do if I had to get a real job. So it was kind of trial by fire. I should have known right off the bat. I did the pilot, and then I didn't realize that it could take a year for this thing to find out if you're actually going to do the show. So they took the longest amount possible, and then a year later, they're like, okay, we're going to do the actual show. So we did a season of MVP, and then I figured, I enjoyed that, and I've always wanted to be an actor, and I love movies, and let's give it a shot. So yeah, that's a long story.
That's okay. I saw you in The Vow.
Oh, you did?
I did. I watched it. I've seen it before, and I was like, which character is he? And then it's like, he's Brian. I was like, oh my gosh. So I saw you, and I was like, oh, did good. This is good.
Thank you.
This is really good. You're just young, excited to get married, and I'm like, yeah, the secondary story works for me. I like those.
That's like a tertiary story.
I'm like, it was good. I enjoyed it.
Well,
I had to watch it with new eyes, like just new eyes, because I was searching. I'm like, when's he coming? And then I saw you, and you looked so different than you did in 2012. So it was great. It was a good experience.
Thank you.
It was a good experience.
It was cool. I got to be. I'm sitting at a dinner table with Sam Neill, Jessica Lange, Channing Tatum, and Rachel McAdams.
Yeah,
like,
were they nice?
Yeah, they were all great.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was wondering because Rachel McAdams, isn't she Canadian?
She is. Yeah.
Canadians are all nice.
The coolest was Sam Neill. Sam Neill was the coolest. Yeah,
oh, okay.
He's like 6'6", just a
my
cool-looking
gosh.
guy,
Oh
New
my
Zealand
gosh.
accent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was good though. I enjoyed it
Thank
for
you.
like the fourth time that I'd watched it. But yeah, so you're out there, you're acting, and what is that like for you?
Sometimes it's great. Sometimes, I'm not gonna lie, it's terrible.
It's terrible.
Yeah, there's just no consistency to it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's like everybody tells you. It's just high highs, low lows. You know, it's just, especially in Canada. I lived in Los Angeles for a while, and there's sort of, they each have their own benefits and costs.
Mm-hmm.
That's my economics talking.
Benefits and
Yeah.
costs.
So it's like in Los Angeles, it's there's so much competition.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody there wants to be an actor. A lot of people are terrible and they don't have a chance. Sometimes being terrible doesn't really matter. You can still have a chance, but you know, you're just kind of lost in the numbers there. But if you get a shot, you get a big shot.
Okay.
In Canada, it's sort of, there's not as much competition, but so you have a better chance of getting a shot, but it's a small shot, and then it's like if that show gets canceled, it's like, okay, well, you've had your chance, back of the line. You know, it's like it's people say about the Canadian film industry, there's a ladder to the top, it's just on the floor. You know, so you just kind of bouncing side to side, going, wait a minute, I thought I just did a show here. Doesn't anybody care? Like, no, we don't care. It's Canada.
It's Canada. Who cares?
Yeah.
So what was your big shot? Like, what was your big?
Well, MVP was big.
MVP
That was a
was
good
big.
entrance into the
Okay.
industry for sure.
Okay.
I don't think I really knew how to act when I did that. So there wasn't. I don't think that anybody was going to rely on me to carry a show after MVP. So I had to almost start from scratch after that with a bit of a name, I guess, more than I had before at least. But Nikita would probably be my biggest break to date. Yeah. So that came after a very low. I had done nothing for a long, long time. I was ready to quit. I was done. I was living in LA. You know, on the verge of like having a nervous breakdown. I'm not even kidding about that. You know, you get to a point in LA. I wanted to move there. A lot of actors go down to LA for pilot season, which is the first 3 months out of the year. Then they leave, and they wonder, how come I didn't get famous in those 3 months? And it just seems so stupid to me. It's like, you got to be there. You got to live there. You got to put in the time. I'm all about putting in the time. If it's hard, it must be right.
It must be.
Yeah.
I like that saying. If it's hard, it must be right.
But that's not always true. Sometimes you can work smarter, not harder, right?
I've heard that recently too.
Yeah, I'm just down there. I'm like, I'm struggling, so I just got to keep struggling, and then one day it's all going to be worth it. And the problem is everybody leaves, and you're completely alone. And LA is a very difficult place to set any roots down, especially when you want to be an actor and you're thinking, wow, this is like a psychology session. I'm just having all these discoveries right now. Yeah, when you're an actor, you're always thinking, okay, when I get that job that changes everything, that's when my life will start. That's when I'll set down my roots. That you need a big perspective change if that's what you're thinking, because your life, chances of that happening are very slim. Your life is just kind of what's happening in the middle. So, you know, I was alone. I had no hobbies. I had maybe one or two friends, but they live 40 miles away because it's LA and there's traffic, and you just.
I've never been.
Oh, it's a great place to visit. It's a really
Crap
tough place to live. Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Wow.
Everybody goes down to LA for a week, and they're like, "Oh my God, I love this.
This is great.
Yeah,
Try living here.
Try 3 months plus. It's just yeah." I was driving an '86 Chevy Nova.
Wow. What color was it? I would
was
have been
white.
like a white Chevy Nova.
You know what's funny? I had this Chevy Nova, and I would pull up to like Chateau Marmont, which is like this big fancy hotel in the Chevy Nova, and I just didn't give a shit. I'm like, I'm gonna be the guy who shows up in the crappy car. Everybody else is like driving their BMWs and Mercedes, and I show up in a Chevy Nova, and there was always a few times there was a Mexican valet guy, and every time a Mexican guy saw my car, they'd go, "That's a great car, man. I want that car." And I thought, why do Mexicans love my car so much?
Nova.
Every time. And then it turns out it's a big joke in Mexico because Nova means no go in Mexico. Oh. So they were just making fun of me. Oh. I thought I was cool with the Mexican guys, but no,
they were just joshing you.
Yeah, they were just ripping me. So I was just totally alone in LA, just feeling completely destitute. I came home to kind of get my bearings, and I was supposed to go on my dad was climbing Mount Kilimanjaro, of all things. So I was like, he's like, "You want to come?" I'm like, "Yeah, I do. Maybe I'll discover some things."
Climb a mountain. I think this weekend I'm going to climb a mountain. That's what I'm going to do. Yeah.
So and then my manager called and he's like, "Yeah, so this audition came in for Nikita." I'm like, "I can't do it, man. I'm going to go climb a mountain." He's like, "Just go in. It's right for you." I said, "Fine." And because I didn't really care and I didn't really think I was going to get the part or do it, I was relaxed and I did a good job.
Good job.
And I got the part. And then my brother and my dad went to climb the mountain, and I didn't go, but I got to do Nikita. So.
And you were on that show for how many years?
2 seasons.
2 seasons?
Yeah.
Okay. I remember the old Nikita. I watched the old one, like
with
the
Peta
original.
Jensen.
Yes. With the blonde.
Mm-hmm.
I remember that one. I don't have a TV in my house.
That's probably a good thing.
It's like a thing with me. I don't like TVs very much. I just watch everything on my computer.
Do you have a big screen computer?
No, I have a very tiny. Like I like even look at my phone. My tiny phone, tiny screens. I like tiny things. Like big phones like that they don't make sense.
This isn't that big.
That phone's big.
Compare them.
Let's compare them.
It's not that much bigger.
Your phone is like twice the size of my phone. Stop it right now, okay? Like tiny thing. So you did Nikita for 2 seasons, and then was there a dip again?
Nikita, no, I got really lucky after Nikita. I went back to Los Angeles after those bastards killed me off. No, I'm just kidding. I love everybody from Nikita. I went back to LA and the show Remedy was starting up.
I remember Remedy. Yeah.
So I did a tape for that, and a big part of me didn't want to go back to Toronto because I was like, I want to be an LA actor. I want to be an American actor. I want to work there. I want to, and so I kind of resisted doing the part. Mm-hmm. And it was the first. I didn't realize how lucky I was. It was like the first time in my life where somebody was actually trying to get me to do a part. Mm-hmm. And I don't know why I resisted it. And I met with the producer and the writer, the creator, Greg Spottiswoode, and we had a great conversation, and he talked me into doing it, and it was a great decision. Mm-hmm. Yeah, because that was probably Nikita was my biggest break, but I would say that Remedy was the greatest character I ever got to play.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
At a very coincidental point in my life.
Well.
Yeah.
I'm sure Nikita was a great experience.
Well, I'm talking about Remedy was just a little too close to home when I was doing it.
Oh, how close to home was it?
It was pretty bang on.
Bang on. So tell me about your character in Remedy.
My character's name was Griffin Connor. He was addicted to OxyContin, mm-hmm. any kind of opioid. Oxy was just one of them. He got kicked out of med school for faking prescriptions, mm-hmm. and then shows up back in his family's life, and they're all working in a hospital, and he doesn't really want to prove anything, but he's been pushed into this world, and everybody thinks he's still on drugs or might be back on drugs, or you never know what to think, and he is kind of wrestling with his past and trying to prove that he's not that guy anymore. Mm-hmm. I think that's a good way to put it. Yeah. I don't know if he was trying to prove that he wasn't that guy before. I think to be honest, you kind of get to a point where you give that up. Mm-hmm. You can't
trying to prove yourself to people.
Yeah.
So when did art imitate life? At what point did art imitate life?
Well, I started experimenting with opioids maybe at the very end of Nikita. Mm-hmm. and I can't remember how or when I was addicted to it. I remember the first time I took it.
Tell us about that.
I was at a movie theater with a friend who I wasn't really that close to, but it was sort of a work/social engagement. We decided to go to a movie, and before the movie started, he took out this pill that was like the size of a football. It was like a horse tranquilizer. And I said, "What is that, man?" And he said, "Oh, I take it for my hip. I have hip soreness." And I don't remember if he said, "Do you want one?" or if I think I said, so you're walking around high all the time, or does that give you a buzz? And he's like, "A little bit." And I think we were watching a crappy movie, so I was like, "Can I try one or whatever?" So I took one, and I honestly, if I'm remembering correctly, which I very well may not be, I didn't really feel that much different. I think I just felt a little bit happier. So I didn't think that it was anything that strong. But then I was at a very slow point for my character in Nikita, and we kept meeting up. I kept meeting up with this guy, and I don't want to give too much away, because if I say why I was meeting up with him, people might know who he was, and I don't really want that to happen.
No, just give as much as you can.
Yeah, so we were meeting up a lot, and every time I meet with him, he would sort of slide 2 pills across the table, and
like just offer it.
Just here you go.
Right? Here you go. Just
yeah.
take some of this.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, you want another 2? And I was like, sure. And then I think sometimes at the beginning I was asking for them too, for sure.
Yeah.
I just didn't think it was that big of a deal. I think in my mind, I mean, I knew there were opioids, but I think in my mind, I thought it was like, it takes a year to get addicted to this stuff.
Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah,
I
was young. Like nowadays, it's like I know
How old
4 or
have
5
you
days.
been?
I wasn't that young. I was 27.
It's like with alcoholism, people don't think it hits till 31. They're like, it's like you just drink a lot in your 20s, or you just you're partying, you're doing your thing. Like it's not. Plus, probably it was a prescription of his. So
yeah.
I
just. Maybe I was being willfully ignorant, but I definitely didn't want to get addicted to it.
No, nobody wants to get addicted to it.
I didn't think that. In my mind, I think I thought I was taking it occasionally, but then I would look back and be like, holy shit, I think I just took it 6 days
in a
row.
Because you now you're seeking it, like you're chasing the high at that point.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. So we would I'd see him, I'd make up excuses to meet with him that really didn't make any sense, but I think he liked that he had somebody to do the drugs with.
Yeah, nobody likes doing drugs alone. That's like a thing.
Yeah,
nobody likes
so he would, I was taking.
Once he found a partner, it was like,
yeah, a lot of that. I'm so like torn when it comes to this side of the story, because I don't want to blame too much on him. It was my fault.
But it's what happened.
It's what happened.
It's what happened.
Yeah,
so.
I think I think I was asking for it, but I think it was also being offered. And I guess if I was in that situation and I had those pills, I wouldn't be giving them to people. That's my problem with it. No matter what, I wouldn't be giving them to people. And even if I did, well, especially not now, but at that age, even if I did, it wouldn't be more than once.
A tryout type of thing. This was more like
here you go,
lure you into the world of the drugs.
Yeah, but I don't want to pretend that I had no agency in it. That it wasn't me just being like, oh my God, what's this?
What's this? I don't know what this is. Like, no, it's like the first time I smoked marijuana. Like, I had a drug dealer boyfriend, and like, it was one of those things where he did drugs, and I was like, okay, I could try this, no big deal. I knew drugs were wrong. Weed wasn't legal at the time. I knew it was the wrong thing to do, but it was his lifestyle, right? Once it becomes someone's lifestyle and you get into their world, it was no question of offering it to me anymore or asking for it. It was just there.
It was just there.
It was just there for me to take, and when we broke up, that's when I realized, holy shit, like, I really like this stuff. I need to find it any way, shape, form that I can, right? So it's one of those things, when you're in that world, like, it's on the table. Like, it's on the table. It's not a matter of offer, ask.
It's understood.
It's just understood.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally. And especially for those first few months when it was just kind of an understood thing and I didn't think it was that big of a deal, I definitely did not think I was addicted to it. But then Nikita, my character got killed in Nikita, and I packed up and went back to Los Angeles, and I didn't have any pills with me, and I went through 9 days of pure cold turkey withdrawal. It wasn't until like a few hours into it that I went, holy shit, I got fully addicted to these things. And it was like train spotting. I'm going through like train spotting, like full-blown withdrawal. I couldn't believe it. Yeah. And I had to hide it. I had new roommates I had to like hide that from. I just moved in with them, and I'm going through heroin withdrawal, basically. But then I got through it, and I don't think I would have gotten through it if I had access to the pills, but I just didn't. It didn't even occur to me. I just thought, okay, I'm going to have to go through this. And I was good for a few months, and I came back to Canada to do Remedy, and I guess I reconnected with that guy and started doing them again. I can't even remember how we started doing them again, or why I was so stupid. I guess maybe I thought I'll be smart about it this time, and I just obviously wasn't. And I got hooked. I guess I got hooked pretty quickly, and then Remedy started up, and I was, for the first season. The odd thing was my character is not addicted in the first season, but I was heavily. I was heavily addicted during the first season. And then in the second season, he is addicted, and I had something that I was using to manage it. But I'd say that the arc of the character and the emotions and what he was going through were very close to home. And I knew what I was doing with that guy. But yeah, I mean, where I really had to act was I was stoned and he wasn't. You know, the strange thing about opioids though is that you never really feel like you're stoned. You know, it's a weird thing. Like with weed, if I smoke weed, I get paranoid and I'm like, everybody knows I'm stoned. What the hell? I can't wait for this to go away. Why did I just smoke that? That's why I can't smoke weed. With opiates, it's like the exact opposite. It's just everything's fine. I'm cool. I'm just in a good mood.
I once took 3 Oxycontins by accident. I thought they were my clonazepams, and I was like paralyzed for 12 hours. Like that's something. Like opioids are not my thing. I just know based on that experience. I call my mom. I'm like, Mom, I can't move. Like, what's going on? She goes, you took your freaking back pills for your sleep pills, and just sleep it off. You'll be fine. It's just left me in the bedroom, monitored me for like the 12 hours, but it was not my kind of high, you know.
No, I guess it clicks with some people.
It hit me hard. It hit me hard.
For me, I think it really clicked because I was depressed, and it stopped that right in its tracks. You know, but the problem with that addiction is that it starts to cause the symptoms that you're trying to get rid of. You know, the minute they start to wear off, you feel 10 times worse than you did before you took them. And then you take them again, and then they wear off, and you feel 100 times worse than before you took them. So it's this self-fulfilling cycle, this vicious cycle of then you need them just to feel normal because your tolerance goes up and up and up and up. I think the first time I did them after I went through withdrawal, I'm kind of lucky to be alive because I slept for 24 hours.
Wow.
Yeah, I was out.
Cool.
Yeah, but my tolerance had gone back down to a normal person, and I think I took the same dose that I would have normally taken. Yeah. And that's how a lot of people die.
Overdose, yeah.
Yeah, and sure. So I was, I don't know, I think when I was shooting Remedy, I was, you know, I wasn't the type of actor that was like causing antics and showing up late and getting in fights and that sort of stuff, but I think there was something very odd about me, and people knew it. You know, there was just, Dillon's a strange guy. You know, I'd always be scratching. That's something that
like Ashy Larry.
Yeah, that's something that.
Like Tyrone. Just scratching.
What's funny is that one of the actors on the show, Rico Colantoni, he once did an impression of me, and he did this itch, you know. And when he did that, I thought, holy shit, this guy knows what's going on, because when you do opiates, you get itchy. But I talked with him the other day, and he said, no, I just thought that you were itchy.
Oh, okay.
And, just irritable, and your mind's not in the present. Your mind is always thinking, do I have enough to get through the next couple of days?
Chasing the high.
Yeah. Well, no, at that point, you're not, at least for me, it wasn't about chasing the high. It was, I cannot go through withdrawal, and I'm going to go through withdrawal.
If you stop the pills.
If I stop the pills, and there's no way I can hide that. There's no way I can work if that's happening.
If you're going through withdrawals.
I'm going to get caught. All that crap, you know, and I couldn't tell anybody. I felt like I couldn't tell anybody. So my mind was always like, shit. It was actually, I think that what I remember most about that season, unfortunately, is pills. Just, do I have enough pills? Can I think of another excuse to meet up with that guy? How am I going to get off this? Should I tell somebody? I can't, like, it's this weird thing when I go to set now and I work, I enjoy being on set and I enjoy acting. When I was addicted, I just wanted to get out of there as fast as humanly possible.
So
I wanted the day to
pills,
finish, so I could go do whatever we did. Just go take the pills. Just go get either a little bit high, because I would need a ton at that point to get high, or just to make sure that I was normal. Yeah, it was bad. It was really bad.
So what was your rock bottom? What came next?
My rock bottom, you
don't mind my asking.
No, I don't at all. I was lucky in that I guess I had some wherewithal in my addiction to not let it escalate too far. I refused to ever touch a needle.
That's good.
Yeah, I was offered fentanyl many times. I was offered heroin many times. I had some, I don't know what I would consider my rock bottom, but I had some moments that should have been massive wake-up calls. You just do crazy things that just seem okay at the time. I got laser eye surgery because I knew they'd give me Vicodin after the surgery.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
I did. And they gave me the Vicodin before I got the surgery. I did it all the first day, and then I told her that I left the pill bottle in my car rental.
Oh, wow.
And she gave me another bottle. Wow. And Vicodin, when you're addicted to OxyContin, is nothing. Absolutely nothing. So that was one while you're doing it, you're going, I can't believe I'm this person, but I don't care. I'm just gonna. I can't go through withdrawal. It's too painful. I'll figure it out tomorrow. Another time, I finally had discovered Suboxone.
Mm-hmm. What's that?
Suboxone is like a good way to describe it is like methadone light.
Oh, hey.
It's like a sublingual thing that you put under your tongue, and you don't go through withdrawal. But you don't get high, and it blocks out any other opioids. So a lot of people who were ex-addicts, some people will stay on Suboxone for life because if you're taking it, you can't, and you take heroin or whatever, it doesn't work. But you're not really going to overdose. You're not going to get high. You're just going to be normal. So I discovered Suboxone. I don't remember how, but I found a guy who was selling it. I get in the car in Los Angeles and drive to like Laguna Hills or something like that on like a Wednesday afternoon. And I remember driving out to the suburbs, and I met with this guy who I'd never met or talked to before. And he was just a kid about my age, maybe a bit younger. And he invited me up to his bedroom, and I walk up the back. He lives in a really nice suburban house with his parents.
Lovely.
Yeah. So I walk into the back of this. He had a stairwell going directly into his bedroom. I walk up there, and he goes,
sketchy
yeah,
as shit.
Sketchy. He had the perfect setup for a drug dealer.
Going into my bedroom.
Perfect setup for
my parents. Like sketchy.
Well, so I go up there, and I'm waiting in his bedroom, and I'm just, when you meet with these guys, you don't want to become their friends. You're just like,
just give me the
I don't want to go
drugs.
through this. Just like, you know why I'm here. Just give me the Suboxone, and I want to get the hell out of here. But drug dealers are very lonely people because they have no
my gosh.
real friends. None. A drug dealer has no friends.
No connections to the real world at all. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, and it's sad. I think they know it too. Like, they're very aware of it.
That's why they sell drugs.
That's why they sell drugs. But then once they start selling drugs, all their friends just want drugs. And they act like they're friends so they can get the drugs. So, I got to hang out with this guy. We're chatting, and I got to act like I'm interested in what he's saying. Oh, at least half an hour.
At least.
He wants to go for. He's like, let's take my dog out.
Thank
we walk
God
his
for
dog around.
dispensaries at this point. So I'm just saying, cut out the middleman.
But then I'm sitting in his room, and it's night at this point, and he has this little safe. His parents are in the next room. I can hear them talking. He's got a lock on his door. And he takes something out of his safe, and it's not what I came for. He took out heroin or morphine or something like that. And he lays down on his bed, And he starts tying off.
Oh, no.
Yeah. And he's like, you want something? I was like, no, I'm good. And he shoots up, and I watch this guy nod off. He just completely goes out. And, like, I wasn't even in the room. When I can hear his parents talking in the next room, they're talking about, groceries they need to get.
The grass needs to be cut tomorrow.
And as this guy's sitting here passed out, another guy came walking up and sits down. And he was there to buy Xanax. And it's just this awkward moment of, like, what? And we kind of both, there's this look in both of our eyes of, like, just shame. Like, I'm here to buy that.
This is what it's come to.
Yeah. So finally the guy wakes up, and I get my Suboxone, and I left. That wasn't a rock bottom, but that was a wake-up call of, like, what the fuck am I doing? You know? To come back around to it, my rock bottom would have been I did a show called Marvel Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., which I was so lucky to get, and I had to fight so hard to get the role, and I could not have screwed it up any harder.
Talk about it.
I was playing a part. I came in on this really successful show, and it was a part that they were really trying hard to find the right person to do it. And I had to audition 4 or 5 times to get it. And it was a guy who's been alone on a planet for 15 years, and one of the lead characters ends up on that planet, and then we have to survive together. So it's this amazing chance I have to come in on a show with a built-in audience, millions of people, and then basically be the lead of the show for an episode. It was huge, and it's Marvel. And the people that cast all the Marvel movies. And they wanted me, and it was just, I couldn't believe it. So I'm doing it, and I was sort of it wasn't my worst addiction. It wasn't the worst of it.
Addiction, yeah.
But I was still
in it.
And I, at first things were going well. No problems. Killed the first 2 days. It was great. And then I got my hands on some morphine or something like that, some pills. And I figured I could, I could manage. There's no way they'll know. And I don't think I didn't take them at work. I found this herb called Kratom, which has become somewhat popular, which is like an herbal opioid that a lot of people take to kind of either not go through withdrawal, or you can get a little bit high off it, I guess, if you don't have a tolerance. But for me, I wasn't getting high from it. It was just keeping me normal. I call it like an herbal Suboxone, and you can buy it at smoke shops. So I was able to do that. But unfortunately, the guy who sold me the Kratom was also a drug dealer, and he sold me morphine as well. Yeah. So anyway, I had some morphine, and I managed to be normal during the day with the Kratom, but then I would take the morphine at night. And my first big screw up was I came home. I think I took a morphine, or I took a Xanax, like a full bar of Xanax, and I sat down to watch TV, and I woke up the next morning 5 minutes from my call time. 5 minutes. It was like no time had passed at all. It was like I sat down and woke up.
And it was 5 minutes to call.
5 minutes to call. And set was about an hour away in this place called Simi Valley, where they had no cell phone reception. I had to drive myself there. And so I couldn't call them and make up an excuse. So I was just screwed. I was just going to be late. They were going to be on set wondering, where the fuck is this guy? So I did, all I could do was jump in the car and go. So I did that. And they didn't bug me too much about that. But then I think they kind of knew something was up at that point, kept an eye on me. And I went to, I think a couple of days later, excuse me, I was on set, and I showed up. I could not get to set on time if my life depended on it. I just couldn't. It was so hard to get out of bed, or I was sleeping through my alarms, all that stuff. So I would always show up at least like 10, 15 minutes late. One of the ADs, who's the guy in charge of basically in charge of set, took me aside and was like, "Hey man, you got to stop showing up late because it's not going. People are starting to notice, and So I showed up late again the next day, and I didn't even realize that I did this, but I guess I fell asleep in the makeup chair. And I go to set, and I do a scene where I was supposed to look at somebody tells me how long I've been there on the planet, and I'm supposed to look into a astronaut helmet.
The helmet, yeah.
Yeah, and see my reflection and go, holy shit, I can't believe how much I've aged, basically. Just that look. Just look. And they put a little X on the bottom right-hand corner of the helmet, and that's where my eyes are supposed to go. And it was going to look like I was looking at it's called a cheat, right? So I look here, but it looks like my eyes are. So I did it, and I didn't think anything was wrong. And the director says, Dillon, can I talk to you for a second? I said, sure. He takes me aside, and he said, are you stoned? Like, flat out. Are you stoned? And I, for some reason, lost my mind. And I lost my temper on him. I lost my shit. And rather than go, no, I'm just tired, or, yeah, I smoke weed, or something like that. So I came at it from a purely defensive angle of, how dare you accuse me of being stoned? How dare you? This is my reputation. Am I stoned? What the fuck are you talking about? And I was just berating this guy, this poor guy. He was the nicest guy. He was great. And I just wouldn't let it go. And he's like, okay, I don't know. Your eyes look a little glazed. And this, I just want to make sure you're okay. I'm like, yeah, I'm fine. But you embarrass me in front of the crew. And as I'm doing this, this other part of my brain is going, stop it. What the fuck are you doing? I wasn't actually mad at him. I just couldn't believe I got caught.
Yeah,
I was mad at myself. And he was right.
Yeah, he was right.
He was right. You know, it's like, what am I doing? And I could just see myself digging this hole, getting deeper and deeper, and there's no way out of it. And rather than stop and collect myself, I just kept doubling down. What the fuck? Am I stoned? Ugh. I couldn't stop myself because I was also stoned, and I just had no impulse control. And because the other side of me could, it was like an out-of-body experience. I could see what I was doing.
Yeah.
I just saw my life crumbling, and I started crying. And I was a grown man crying on set in front of a whole crew, in front of the director. Just, I couldn't stop it. I could not stop crying. And I settled down, and then I tried to do the scene, and he came up to me. Again, after all that shit I just put him through, a nice guy. He just goes, go take 5 minutes, man. Collect yourself. Come back. We'll try it again. So I walked to my trailer to sit down and sort of figure shit out. And I see these producers come walking up to me, and they said, Dillon, are you okay? And I had stopped crying at that point, but anytime I tried to talk, I would start crying again. And I said, yeah, I'm fine. I just was really upset that he accused me of being stoned. I'm not. And they said, well, you fell asleep in the makeup chair. I said, no, I didn't. What are you talking about? They go, well, we heard that you did. No, I didn't. She's wrong. They're lying. Just bullshit. They said, well, we just want to make sure you're okay. I'm like, yeah, I'm fine. I'm fine. I'm fine. And at that point, I kind of realized that I've totally screwed this up. There's no fixing this. I did what I could because I felt so bad because I'm not that guy. It's not me.
It's the drugs.
It's
it's not who you are.
Yeah, and I liked the producers. I liked the directors. I liked my experience, but I was the problem. It was me. And I was so embarrassed. I sent a coffee cart to the set the next day, being like, it's not a peace offering. Here you go. The producer called me after that episode was done, and he said, we're gonna. I think I said it for him. I said, you guys are gonna kill me? He goes, yeah. And I said, yeah, I would. I said, yeah, I'd kill me too. I understand. He goes, yeah. So we're gonna do one more episode with you, and let's just get through it, okay? And I said, yeah, okay. So I did the best I could and tried to be as much of a professional I could for that episode, and then they killed me. And I sent them a bottle of scotch and all this stuff, just like sorry. It's just I could not stop apologizing.
Last ditch effort to regain something.
But I was still in the mindset of I don't know. At that point, I still didn't decide to quit. I still hadn't had that.
That wasn't the rock bottom.
Well, it was.
It was.
But it wasn't until a couple weeks later where I was...
And how old are you at this point?
Maybe 31? Something like that.
Okay.
So I was in Los Angeles walking home from a 7-Eleven at midnight with I used to eat a pint of ice cream every night with a pint of Ben and Jerry's.
What flavor?
And I'd mix it up. It was like it
like
might have been the
cookie dough.
Tonight Dough.
I like cookie dough.
That's the
And
tonight
brown,
tonight
the
dough.
tonight dough.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's-
yeah, that's the one. That's the one. That's the one.
It might have been the Tonight Dough. So I'm walking home with this thing, and I had a bottle of morphine in my pocket, liquid morphine. I wasn't going to shoot it. You just drink it.
Drink it.
And as I'm walking home, it was like a movie played in my head, just of my life being pretty good, and then just shit getting steadily worse from that moment.
Mm-hmm.
And there was no point of it getting better. There was no recovery. There was no. The only good part of my life in those last few years were those 4 months where I was sober, like completely sober. Like, wow, I was really good for those 4 months. And I just thought, I can't do this. Like, I'm not going to fix this myself. There's no way in hell. So I took the morphine out of my pocket and I poured it down the drain.
Good for you.
Poured it in a sewer drain.
Good for you.
And I said, I'm not touching that shit anymore. And I called an addiction specialist doctor the next day.
Mm-hmm.
He got me in right away. Mm-hmm. I was thinking to myself, why don't I tell a doctor I don't want to be on these drugs? I haven't wanted to be on these drugs for years. Doctors can't tell anybody. Am I worried about like people?
Confidentiality.
Yeah. Am I worried about getting
doctor
caught?
patient.
I tell a doctor. You can't tell
Confidentiality.
anybody. We'll just tell a doctor.
Yeah.
So I just said okay, and I went and told the doctor. He said, yeah, okay, we'll start you on Suboxone. And he put me on Suboxone, and I started seeing a counselor. And so I guess I was lucky that my rock bottom kind of turned me right around pretty quickly.
It doesn't happen so quickly for a lot of people. So.
No, well, that's the scary thing was when I was in rehab, I was maybe the only opioid person there to have not touched fentanyl. Fentanyl, it's not even heroin anymore. It's fentanyl. Heroin is just
the
whatever.
thing of the past.
It's just something you can get.
2019.
It's something you can get while you're waiting for fentanyl.
Yeah.
And it makes sense because with opioids, it's your tolerance catches up pretty quickly. So heroin, I mean, you get addicted to heroin, and eventually you're not getting high from it anymore. You're just getting normal. So what's the next thing? Fentanyl. You know. But then I was on Suboxone, and I'm not knocking Suboxone. A lot of people take it for life, and it saves a lot of lives. But I couldn't be on that. And my dad was pushing me. I was on Suboxone for about 2 years. My dad was pushing me to get off of it, and same sort of bullshit. I'd say I'll just wean off myself. I'll figure it out. And he said, "You're not going to wean off it. You have to get off this stuff." I think I put on like 30 pounds, and I was depressed and apathetic. And Suboxone can kind of do that to you. It numbs you. You're not high, but you just sort of, yeah. So eventually, I agreed to go to rehab, and that was a hellish experience too.
I've been to rehab. I went to rehab for weed. My mom made me go. It was stupid because I felt like I don't have an addiction to this situation, and there were so many sick people there, and everyone was on the marijuana maintenance program. So basically, like people who did opioids or like prescription pills or drinking or whatever, they're like, as soon as I get out of this 21-day program, I'm hitting the marijuana. It's the marijuana maintenance program. I'm like, I was sitting there feeling like such a fraud to be there. But when I look back, it wasn't stupid. I shouldn't say stupid. That was the wrong word to use. But when I look back on it, it's just, you can be to anything like cigarettes, weed, opioids. Like it's, there's a lot of different kinds of food. There's a lot of different types of addiction. If you need to get the help, like definitely you should get the help. Right. So you went into rehab, you got the help you needed. What was the rehab experience like?
Oh, it sucked. That was a nightmare.
Totally sucks.
It's a total nightmare.
Were you in one of those like prison guard rehabs, or were you in like a fancy Arizona rehab?
No, I was in. It felt like being under house arrest.
Yep, that's exactly what it feels like. That's the same thing in the hospital. When I spend 2 months at a time in a mental hospital, it's literally you have to like get your demerit points to get out for a smoke and like let you out for fresh air for like 10 minutes at a time, and it's ridiculous. It's crazy.
There were a few times I just went to rehab and I just exercised like crazy, and I was going so like the problem with rehab is you get to a point where the place is making you crazier than any withdrawal you're going through. So I would go for these long runs, and there were hills in the back, but a few times I snuck off and I would go for runs around the neighborhood. And I found out a way to like sneak out and sneak without the camera seeing me.
Oh, look at you, stealthy. James
I'm
Bond,
a little
so.
too sneaky. It's not a good thing. But no, it sucked. I was fortunate that I went in very determined. I was so sick of these drugs and so sick of it eating up so much of my life that I met with the doctor over Skype, which kind of
Very
blew my
LA.
mind. No, it was in Canada.
It was in Canada?
Yeah,
Over
it was
Skype?
just north of Toronto.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow. Okay.
The doctor was on Skype, which I just went in with a chip on my shoulder, and I was pissed that I was talking to this doctor over Skype. And he didn't know anything about my medical history, which pissed me off too. And everything was pissing me off.
Everything was
Pissing me off. I just went into this place, and it's sort of a bad personality quirk that I have, that I just look for flaws in things. Like, this is wrong with this place, and that's what's wrong. So I was mad that I was talking to this doctor over Skype, and he said, "What do you want to do?" And I was like, "What do you mean, what do I want to do? I'm here to find it. Tell me what to do. That's why I'm here." And I said, "You know what, forget it. I want to be off Suboxone tonight." And he goes, "You sure you want to do that?" And I said, "Yeah, I want to do that." He said, "Okay, you're not gonna like
It's
it.
gonna be pretty."
I was like, "I don't give a shit. That's why I'm here." So the problem with opioid, getting off any drug, is they just kind of replace it with another drug. So they took me off the Suboxone and they loaded me up on benzodiazepines.
Which ones?
It was clonazepam first, and then it was
Ativan?
whatever Valium is. No, they stay away from Ativan.
No, lorazepam isn't Valium.
That's Ativan.
That's Ativan. Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, benzodiazepines have their place, but at this dose, like they put you on massive doses.
Wow.
And if you have experience with
do.
benzodiazepines,
I do.
so the withdrawal from those can be pretty intense.
They can. I literally don't know that because I've always been on them. I've been on them for the last 13 years. So
if you
I'm
taper, you're
basically
okay.
Addicted. I'm basically addicted to them. I'm not gonna lie to you. Like, I take them every night to sleep. I take 2.5 milligrams a night to sleep with clonazepam, and then the nose and in is about 50 to 75 milligrams or something like that. And I can't sleep without them.
But if you were to come off,
If I was
them,
to
you
come
do a
off
long
them,
taper.
It would be a long taper.
They wouldn't just
It wouldn't be just a one shot. Let's get this done with. No.
Yeah. So I'd had experience with a benzo addiction as well as the opioid addiction. So I didn't want to get addicted to benzodiazepines because that
for sure.
withdrawal for me, they're both pretty bad, but for some reason I just thought that was worse. So I was like, okay, fine, I'll take the clonazepam, but I want to be off that as soon as possible. So they put me on this aggressive taper. I was kind of controlling my own destiny
Honestly,
at that point.
when it comes to addiction and mental health, I'm going to say this to anyone who is listening or cares to listen. You got to self-advocate. These people will have you on drugs for the rest of your fucking life if you allow them to. But you got to advocate for yourself. You got to just tell them, this is what I want. This isn't working for me. I don't like this. I don't like how it makes me feel. We need to switch it up. We need to taper it off. We need to bring it down. That's your right as just a human being, as a patient, to say to your doctors, this is not going to work for me. This is not how I want to live my life. So we got to get rid of these drugs.
Yeah.
You know, especially being someone who has a problem with or an issue with drugs. You're not going to want to take this drug for that drug for that drug for that drug, and it doesn't make any sense. Right?
No, it was a lot of stuff that didn't make sense to me. And look, to their credit, they got me off drugs.
For sure.
And addiction science is not. It's not
an exact
not an exact science yet.
Not an
They haven't
exact
figured it out
science
yet.
yet,
No, and it's so individualized. Everybody's different, So I just knew that I wanted to be off drugs. I wanted to be off them completely as fast as humanly possible. And if I was going to feel like shit, I was going to feel like shit there. And I got my wish. So I was on such an aggressive taper that I would go see the nurses, and they're like, "Are you sure you want to take less today?" And I was like, "Just give me less."
Give me less.
But I think that because I was on such a high dose of the benzos, I got addicted pretty quickly to it. And then I had to rather than go through the Suboxone withdrawal, I barely felt that with the dose of clonazepam I was on. I had to go through the benzo withdrawal. I was so mad at the doctor when he told me that. I remember I said, why am I still going through withdrawal? It's been 12 days. And he goes, "You're going through benzodiazepine withdrawal." I said, "What the hell, man?
You could have alerted me of this.
I would have taken Suboxone in a heartbeat.
prior.
This sucks." So I was waking up every morning at 4 o'clock in the morning and just exercising like crazy, and I couldn't eat. And I think I lost about 22 pounds in 9 days.
Wow.
Yeah. The funny thing is the nurses were like, wow, you look good. I'm like, fuck, I'm
That's
exhausted.
just the world glorifying thinness.
I'm exhausted. This
The
sucks.
world that glorifies thinness. We know about that world. Fuck that world.
I was like, I don't feel good, but okay.
Thanks.
I guess I'll keep the positive reinforcement. I'll keep running.
Thanks.
Yeah, thanks, guys. But like he's talking about with the drugs, to put people to help people with sleep, they'd give them Seroquel.
Mm-hmm.
That drove me nuts. I did not want to be taking a sleeping pill, so I tried to take Benadryl to sleep, and they wouldn't let me take Benadryl. They said you can't take Benadryl. If they ever listen to this, they're gonna because this was such a fight. They said you can't take Benadryl because it's for allergies, not for sleep. So I said, okay, fair enough. My mom came to visit. We went to a grocery store and I went and bought ZzzQuil. Same ingredient as Benadryl, but it says for sleep. And I said, here, can I take this?
Sleep. Mm-hmm.
And one of the nurses let me take it, and I got the best sleep of my life there, best sleep of my rehab life. Next day, a new nurse came in and they wouldn't let me take ZzzQuil. And then they tried to they were like, you can meet with the doctor and take Seroquel. I'm like, I don't want any more fucking prescriptions.
Like,
Enough with the fucking prescriptions. Just let me take ZzzQuil. This is way better than that. And, I was a pain in the ass. They have their ways of doing things. It's not me. It's not my place to come in and try to change everything. It works for a lot of people. But I got to a point where I was so exhausted, and like I mentioned before, that the place was driving me crazier than the withdrawal. And I after 2 weeks, I made a deal with my dad that was, because every day, after 2 or 3 days, every day I'd call my dad saying, I got to get out of here. Just let me come home and finish this. And he'd say, just another day. Just do another day. So I made a deal with him that was, once you're off drugs completely for 24 hours, then you come home. Promise me you'll do that. And I said, okay. So I went one day where I took my morning medication, and then the lunchtime medication time came, and I just decided I'm going to just sit in this. I'm just going to take it. Mm-hmm. Maybe if I could just take it for 2 days, it'll be gone. And I took it, and it faded, and I felt pretty good that night. And I didn't take any medication that night, and then the next morning I woke up a bit anxious, but I felt like I was anxious because I was there, not because of any withdrawal. And I just decided to get the fuck out of there. And I packed my bags. I went to my counselor. I said, I'm going to leave.
So how long were you in for?
2 weeks.
2 weeks?
Out of 30 days.
I did the 21-day program. So
Yeah.
I did the full 21 days.
But it was a mistake, though, because when I got home, I still had about a month of withdrawal left.
Wow.
Yeah. It was weird. It was because it would come and go. First, it was like just all day, and then every morning I'd wake up feeling like back at square one. And you get to a point where you think, this is never going to end. It's terrifying.
So when did the end come for you? When did it? How many years of sobriety do you have on your belt, if you don't mind my asking? And when did it stop feeling like shit for you? Like, when did the shit stop? Like,
I probably have a text in my phone where I texted my dad saying I feel normal finally. Mm-hmm. I haven't touched opioids for about a year, and it would have been September 29th of last year, so whatever that is. So a year and 2 months.
September, October, November, December.
So a year and
January.
3 months.
4 months.
4
a year
months?
and 4 months.
Okay, a year and 4 months. I still have the occasional beer or drink every once in a while. I never had a problem with that, and it's not a trigger for me or anything.
No.
So,
I'm of the nature, like, your drug of choice, your DOC, whether it's alcohol, weed, opioids, that's what you need to stay away from. Like, it's not like a carte blanche, don't have fun with anything. Like, it's just stay away from what you know is going to harm you.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. There's different models for it, but I just, I don't have a problem with alcohol, so I figured why cut out that?
Wine, I drink wine on a regular basis. I have wine at home right now.
I'd like go with a friend. I'll have a beer. I don't get drunk like I used to, but like occasionally.
Because you're a grown up now, so
exactly.
Yeah, you're a grown up. Grown ups don't
a
get
pint or 16. What's wrong? Just 16 pints.
I got wasty pants this week.
Nice round number.
But like, I'm a grown up. It was in a house. I was safe. It was good.
Yeah. Smoke a pack of cigarettes. What's the big deal?
What's the big deal?
Everybody else is doing it.
Everyone's doing it. Come on, Mom. Everyone's doing it.
I don't get these jerks, man. So
fucking jerks.
Tight asses.
So what is the biggest lesson?
Well, here's the thing. So feeling normal, I don't feel 100% normal yet. I wake up every morning and I've replaced my whatever addiction hole I was trying to fill with exercise. And I definitely, like I was saying before, I over-exercise now. But it's a better thing. It doesn't screw up my life.
No,
it's
much
a
better.
good. It's a good thing. Yeah.
I wish I could be there with you, but I cannot. Not yet. Maybe in 2020. Who knows? But what is the biggest lesson you've taken from this experience? What is the big takeaway for you?
Well, I would say the big takeaway is the minute that you think you have a problem, tell somebody. Mm-hmm. Just tell somebody. It's not. This whole idea, for me, I was just so ashamed of it. I couldn't believe that I was that
stigma,
guy.
The guilt, all of it.
I was ashamed of myself. I hated myself. I thought, there's no way. Come on, I'm not a drug addict. I'm just going through a phase. Just doing drugs. Yeah,
I'm not a drug addict.
Fine.
I just do drugs.
I'll take care of this. And I knew I was just lying to myself. And I don't know what I was so afraid of in telling people. The risk of not telling somebody is way bigger than the risk of telling somebody. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So when I had that moment, it was so simple. Just go tell a doctor. Mm-hmm. What's the big deal? Just tell a doctor. And I wish I did that years before. Mm-hmm. I could have saved myself a lot of trouble.
True.
Yeah.
Who is Dillon Casey today? Who are you today? After all of this, after being forged in the fire, who are you today?
It's funny. That's a very topical question, coincidentally enough.
Thank you.
So my brothers, Connor and Lyndon, are both writers, and we try to write together sometimes.
I'm a writer.
Are you a writer?
Yeah, you should check out my website.
Okay.
OnikaDainty.com, just in case you guys didn't know about it.
What is it? What's the website?
OnikaDainty.com.
Okay. I'm going to get the spelling for that.
I'll give you my card, don't worry.
Okay. I've been calling you Onika. Sorry.
It's Onika. Yeah, I meant to correct you earlier, but I forgot.
I'm Dillon.
You're Dillon?
Yeah. I was going to correct you, and I didn't want to.
Stop it. My ex is D-E-L-O-N.
Is it Dillon? Dillon?
Dillon.
Everybody calls me Dylon. They think I'm being clever.
They used to call him Dylon.
I'm more of a Dylon because it's D-I.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Dylon.
But so I was writing with my brothers, and we were talking about a character and what a character should wear. And the character is somebody that I would play. And I was dressed kind of like the way I'm dressed now, but like with a dark shirt. And my little brother looked at me and he goes, "What, like a flannel shirt and a T-shirt and like kind of sweatpants? I don't know who the hell this guy is." I just realized I have no idea who the hell I am. I have like shitty taste in music. I've listened to the same songs for 20 years. My walls are empty. It's just my diploma's up on my wall. There's nothing else. Yeah. I like movies.
You like movies?
Yeah. How do you answer a question of the question, who are you? I don't really know how to answer that.
Well, that's the answer. I don't know how to answer that.
Yeah. I think I'm at a transitionary period in life, you know?
Right.
I feel I'm confident that I'm not going to end up back where I was.
That's good.
Just, for no other reason than just fear and just the pain involved. It's so painful. Mm-hmm. It's not worth it in any way. But I think I'm just still trying to come to terms with the fact that I went there and how far down that road I went. I can't believe it. Mm-hmm. There's a big part of me that just wants to cut it off and move. Just cut it off where it stopped and move forward. Mm-hmm. But you can't really do that. I mean, you have 8 years of like your whole priority in life being drugs. There's a lot you need to mentally catch up on. There's, you need to gain people's trust back. There's trusting yourself. There's also, when I came out of it, I like we were talking before, like proving that I'm not that guy anymore, or feeling that like I need to make up for it in so many ways. Mm-hmm. So there's a bit of an my personality has become a bit more apologetic. Yeah. And I feel like they put up with me for so long, so I got to be really nice now. Mm-hmm. So you come out of it and you overshoot it a bit, and you got to find out who you are without the drugs. Yeah. And also you got to figure out why you did that in the first place.
Wow. Dillon.
Who is Onika?
Oh,
did I say that right?
Onika is fabulous all by herself. That's what Onika is. No, I think I'm in a transitional period myself, I would say. I'm a writer. I'm a published author. I'm a podcaster. I'm a peer support worker. I play so many different roles in a day that, like, answering the question of who I am sometimes is hard because I'm defined by all of these different roles and responsibilities that I have sometimes, you know. So
Do you find it hard to answer the question of who you are without telling me what you do?
yes, I do find that very difficult to answer the question who I am. I'm a person that wants the best for all of those around her, and I know I'm a deeply caring person, I'm a deeply loving person, and I value my family and my friendships. I know that much about myself, but I'm still in a discovery phase, and this podcast helps me a lot. Talking to people, hearing their stories helps me kind of discover who I am and what my place in the, you know, ecosystem is. And, you know, I'm a work in progress. That's not much I know for sure. I think we're all kind of works in progress. I think that's just kind of what the takeaway is, I think, for a lot of people's stories. So
Yeah, and just you speaking just reminded me. I'd be remiss if I didn't say remiss if I didn't. What's the grammar there? I'm becoming a bad
remiss if I
speaker.
didn't say.
Remiss if I didn't. Thank you. Be remiss if I didn't say thank you to my family. My family has really defined who I am more than anything. You know, I put them through hell, and especially now that I'm out of it. Making sure that I spend time with them and see them as much as possible has been
Me
a big,
too.
really important thing. And you know, my brother asked me, because he's trying to get over nicotine addiction. He said, "What gets you to not do drugs anymore?" And I just think of my sister Taryn. I think of Taryn, and I think of disappointing her. You know, so just those
I think
things.
of my mom.
Yeah, and just staying connected. You know, staying connected with people. And especially as you get older, family becomes so much more important because everybody gets their own families. So finding some kind of connection, staying connected with people, and just getting over yourself is a really important thing that I've found. Yeah, saying yes to things.
Saying yes to everything. I'm going to have another year of yes. I had a year of yes last year.
A whole year?
A whole year of yes. I said yes to basically everything that was good for me. Nothing that was bad for me.
How do you know it's bad for you, though?
I just...
Like, if I said we want to go skydiving and you said...
No.
Maybe it's the best thing you could ever do.
I would say no to that. I'm terrified of heights. I don't like airplanes. No. Absolutely no. Don't anyone ask me to go skydiving this year. My year of yes.
Do you, on your online dating profile, do you say I'm having a year of yes?
I haven't made an online dating profile yet. I haven't.
That might be a risky...
It might be risky.
I'm saying yes to everything,
yes
guys.
Yes to everything. Then there's a flood of men coming to my mailbox. I don't think so. Yeah, but I think I might have another year of yes because it worked out for me last year pretty much.
What was the best yes you ever...
Applying to be one of the faces of mental illness for About Let's Talk.
Okay.
That was a big one. It was something that I'd always wanted to do, and I never, like, it was kind of serendipitous how I found out about it because I get Google alerts for mental health, so for the podcast, and it was right there, like, apply to be one of Bell's Let's Talk Faces of Mental Illness, like, right in the Google alert. And I just applied, and I got in, and it's been a whirlwind ever since. I have like 41,000 impressions on the internet now. I'm Googleable at this point. So it's been great for the show. It's been great for me. It's been great for me to tell my story. Like it's just been an awesome experience overall.
I'm glad you did that too, because I wouldn't be here if you didn't do that.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
Exactly. Dylan, do you have anything, last words, final things to say?
Final last words.
You shout out
No,
your
I feel like I've
family.
been talking too much.
No, this is the point. We want you to talk a lot. It makes for good content.
Okay.
You want to say anyone you want to shout out to?
Shout out to my dog, Rooney. Thank
What kind
you.
of
You're
dog
my
is it?
rock.
What kind
She's
of
a
dog is
yellow,
it?
a yellow lab.
A yellow lab, okay.
Yeah. You're a pain in the ass sometimes, a little demanding. And, you puked on my floor last night, but that's okay. You couldn't help it. You tried to get outside. I appreciate you.
Rudy?
Rooney.
Rooney?
Yeah.
Okay, Rooney. Anyone else?
I guess my family.
You're feeling like my family, that's it.
My mom, dad, sister. We're not a very sentimental family.
Yeah,
so it's like I just feel
nobody's-
stupid.
Like, nobody cares.
Taryn, I just want to say I love you. I'm your brother. And do what I say. I'm your older brother, and I know better. And congratulations on your new place.
And to my little sister who missed the podcast, I'm your older sister, and don't ever do that again.
Yeah, I agree, because I wanted you here.
Yeah, Bianca, you were missed. You were missed. See you at my apartment. All right, so I have to do the sign off because Bianca's not with us right now. So if you'd like to reach myself or Dylan, just to say you enjoyed his story, or if you have any questions for him, or just comments for me or whatever, remember, please do remember to tweet and mobile call and text and do all that stuff for Bell Let's Talk, which is today. This is airing on the 29th. So make sure you get on and hashtag Bell Let's Talk for all of your social media handles. Let's see, what else do I have to say? Oh, yes. If you want to reach us, you can reach us at dysh@daintydysh.com. That's DYSH at DAINTYDYSH.com. If you're listening to us on Apple Podcasts, give us a 5. If you are listening to us on any other streaming platform, thank you very much. If you want to reach me on Instagram, it's Dainty Dish Podcast, at Dainty Dish Podcast, or at Best of Monica. If you want to reach Bianca and yell at her for not being here today, it's at That Mother Bad. That's at ThatMuvabadxo. That is it.
That's her Twitter handle, That Mother Bad?
That Mother Bad. That is her Twitter handle, her Instagram handle. That Mother Bad. She's a mother too. Mother too. So that's what it is. I know. Mine's BEST Monica. And yeah, I think that's it. I think I did all that Bianca would have done in this moment. So that has been the dish of the day. Thank you so much, Dylan, for being here with us. And hopefully we can have you on the show again for some different random topic if you're not busy or shooting or whatever. I'll reach out.
Okay.
I like to have double guests. I like to like suck the life.
What are you doing next Monday?
Next Monday? I don't know yet, but we're going home to do the power of positive thinking right now. So if that has been, as I said, the dish of the day, and I hope y'all have yourselves a very, very, very happy hump day.